Hello everyone, Silicon Soul here, from that Batman animated series episode. Great show. Just wanted to talk about the Ba'ul Sentry vessel. It's a science ship. It comes out of the Angel's Wake lockbox, fairly rare drop. Bought it with one of the keys. Yes, it's a freemium game. And even though this is an engineering character, Vino, which is my main on the KDF side, it's just so much fun. And it's a spectacle is what it is, and it's the perfect ship if you like crowd control. Depending on how you can configure it, it's a bit of a glass cannon. I'd say it's got like medium hull worth compared to others. It's not a dreadnought, it's not a carrier, it's somewhere in between in terms of base hull, but it has enough party quirks that I can't get rid of it. You see, it's got 4 fore weapons, 3 aft. I've seen people put all turrets on here, for example. The Ba'ul abilities seem to be geared mostly towards anti-proton, so this is full anti-proton. Even the specialty torpedo is it's got kinetic, but it's got the same refraction as well. And that's one of the first party tricks of the Ba'ul weaponry is. Any of their anti-proton weapons and their specialty torpedoes, the Ba'ul Sentry anti-proton kinetic torpedo, they all have the ability of Ba'ul refraction, which means there is a chance that it can bounce. You can see it says each shot chains to an additional target for 5% of attack damage. If I look over here at the Ba'ul anti-proton dual beam bank, it's got the same thing. And really they all do, and of course all the different types, beam banks, full beam arrays, cannon, I think the cannon, Ba'ul might not have cannon, but basically every weapon I've seen with the Ba'ul name has refraction attached to it. And one of the turrets, I think a Ba'ul linked sentry turret, and then the omnidirectional Ba'ul anti-proton. You can get some of this stuff from, I believe, the dilithium shop, one of the dilithium vendors. Other stuff like the base ship itself, that's of course earned through the drop. Yeah, you're using stuff like that to buy all the stuff. But so basically, I kitted it all out with Ba'ul weaponry and then a little bit of extra advanced fleet stuff. And I think the matter conversion comes from maybe the crystalline entity pack. But as you can see, science ship's got a secondary deflector. We've got some Borg parts here, and then 2 engineering consoles, 5 science consoles, 4 tactical, 1 universal. And that configuration is really you're going to have to split that and fit it into your playstyle. Most of my stuff is geared towards anti-proton damage. My couple engineering are just damage resistance and turn rate, and believe me, like most of the large T6 ships that aren't considered like interceptor, escort class, whatever you want to call it, this thing turns like a pig without help, and even with help, it turns like a pig. So I got a lot of crit severity, crit chance, and all geared towards anti-proton damage. And as I said, it's a T6 ship. You do have the option of putting the T6. The item that gives you just 1 extra trait, and but yeah, once you're at like level 65, like most of the T6 ships, you get a higher base, a higher hull. You can get a bunch of benefits there, and normally it's like a silver color. Let's see here. See, it looks pretty unobtrusive. Get away from Kronos to get that pop-up off the screen. But yeah, it's rather unassuming. It looks pretty menacing in the dark. But I have the Riemann shield on there, just as a visual choice, and it's got that lovely green tint to it. But it's got, like I said, a couple party tricks that make it unique aside from the refraction. it has a module, and this can be fitted on. Oh, what's the restriction on it? Let's find that. I believe it's this one. Universal console can go in any slot. It's got a little bit of anti-proton damage, starship control expertise. But basically, it freezes you in place and makes you into a Sentry defense space station, effectively. Calls in a ring of Sentry ships, like mini U's, that go around you, and you become a giant anti-proton laser station. And it's super fun. And no matter what your weaponry is set up as, those Sentries are going to be anti-proton, which means having stuff geared towards increasing anti-proton damage is probably a good idea. But you can put this on many other things. I tried it on a T6 Terran Styx. That's a dreadnought, but a high-end ship. And the only real difference is you don't get the lovely animation of the ship itself going pointy end up to match all the Sentry's orientations. But you still get the same level of firepower out of the Sentries. Now, the downside to engaging Sentry mode is you freeze in place. So you can use all of your powers. Motion powers will do you no good because you're frozen in place, but you can use everything. And, naturally, it's going to affect your weapon power usage as well, because you're outputting power to the Sentries to a certain extent. You're going to be using some. But you can do anything with that. Another downside, you can't interact with any of the pop-ups. So for example, like a pop-up saying, "Hey, pick this up." You can't pick up loot. You can still participate in the greed need for various loot that drops, but you can't actively press F and pick up loot. You can't do any actions that require you to click on the pop-up or press F. You can't do scanning, anything that requires you to interact with that pop-up or by pressing F to do the same thing as clicking on it. You can't do that until you go out of Sentry mode. So you might get out of a battle after being stuck in your space station mode because, let's be honest, it's fun. And you'll have just a mountain of crap to pick up.